I now call our regular commission meeting back to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lundy?
Here.
Commissioner Durrett?
Here.
Commissioner Oster? Commissioner Ward?
Here.
Commissioner Schoonmaker?
Here.
Commissioner Hill? Commissioner Lee?
Here.
Commissioner Beeler?
Here.
Commissioner Daly? Commissioner Jay?
Here.
Commissioner Frazier?
Present. She's right there. She's walking up.
11 members present.
Thank you. We are in our public forum for open topics. Next up is Keith Britt, followed by Jax Fox, Debbie Stafford, Anaya Thompson, and Angela Hill. Mr. Britt, please state your name and county of residence. For the record, you have 3 minutes.
Keith Britt, 506 Knowlton Drive. Concerning the Knox County Sheriff's Office, in the best case scenario, you have a 15-year-old girl that was rude to a few police officers. In the worst case scenario, you have an incredibly abusive use of power by an elected official in this county. It probably falls somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. And I can easily see how, as a commission, you may say, well, we're a legislative body. We don't have any jurisdiction here. The sheriff is an elected official. You don't even have line item veto of the budget. Unless you want to veto the whole budget, you really can't make any difference here. But that's not true. You do have power vested in you to subpoena anybody in the state of Tennessee, in particular an elected official. If you'll look at Tennessee Code Annotated 5-5-126, the Knox County Charter Section 2.02H, and the Knox County Code of Ordinances Section 2-4. That does give you clear and absolute power to pass a resolution to subpoena anybody and any of their materials relevant to discussions on this commission. So I am asking you to pass a resolution to subpoena the testimony of the following people: Knox County Sheriff Tom Spengler, Knox County Sheriff's Communications Director Kimberly Glenn, Kimberly Glenn's husband Jerry Glenn, Knox County Sheriff's Deputy Edlin, Knox County Sheriff's Deputy Massey, Knox County Sheriff's Deputy Jenkins, Southern Rock Restaurant CEO Doug Blackburn, Area Manager of the McAllister's Deli at 2758 Shod Road. In addition, I'm asking you to subpoena the following records: all electronic communications, text, social media posts, and phone records of the aforementioned people from November 21st through December 19th, and video and audio surveillance footage from McAllister's Deli at 2758 Shod Road on November 21st. You vary in your political beliefs, but I think you're all convicted in protecting our citizens from the abuse of power. I think you're also very protective of the government not attacking a small business. There was an active boycott of a small business based on Sheriff's Office social media posts. A 15-year-old girl lost her job because of a Sheriff's Office media post. Good luck with this and Godspeed.
Thank you. Jax Fox, please approach the podium. State your name and county of residence for the record. Up next, Debbie Stafford and Anaya Thompson.
Jax Fox, Knox County. Good evening, commissioners and fellow Knoxvillians. My name is Jax Fox, and I came here tonight to show support for the Robinson and Thompson family, who have been the target of ridicule and harassment due to the actions of the Knox County Sheriff's Office. However, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and likely numerous other members of our community who have had our civil rights violated by KCSO in the fallout of this incident and many previous. The day after KCSO posted their version of what occurred at McAllister's, I commented on that post. Like many others, I voiced my skepticism for what KCSO said took place. I cited my decade in customer service, where I saw many times A simple misunderstanding was blown out of proportion by a customer, either due to embarrassment when they realized they were in the wrong or from sheer entitlement. A few days later, when I went to check the post, I couldn't find the sheriff's office Facebook page. Instead, I got an error, which through my years of using Facebook, I knew meant that KCSO had blocked me. While people block each other on social media all the time, government officials and agencies cannot do the same. In the case of Davidson v. Randall, the Fourth Court of Appeals ruled the comment section of a public official's page is considered a public forum. Therefore, critics cannot be blocked due to voicing an opposing view. There have been other similar cases with public figures removing unflattering comments and blocking critics, but this case and others come to the same conclusion. It is a First Amendment violation to remove comments opposing the government official or agency or block accounts based on the same behavior. Censoring citizens does not help the Knox County Sheriff's Office. In fact, it drives the wedge between the department and the public they serve deeper and deeper. These actions also leave KCSO wide open for lawsuits on these civil rights violations, which would be paid for by taxpayers twice, in cash and again in trust. While I am now unblocked, likely only due to a friend of mine who was also blocked, directly calling and complaining to KCSO, I suspect whoever is in charge of the social media is still blocking or still has people blocked. Perhaps they, and definitely Kimberly Glenn, would benefit from the 4-day workshop next month to be given by the FBI at the KCSO training facility on law enforcement's media and public relations. They could show you how to be seen as a professional and ethical organization and enabling the community to perceive their police as a transparent organization they can depend on and trust, according to the Facebook post. Currently, none of that applies to the Knox County Sheriff's Office or their public image. Stop violating our civil rights in the community and online. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Stafford. Approach the podium, state your name and county of residence, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Debbie Stafford, Knox County, Tennessee. And I want to take a moment and say if anyone has a child in here, you might want to take them out because I'm about to say something that's not really appropriate for little ears. I want to thank you all for having me speak tonight. I'm here to talk about the Tennessee Theater controversy of Thursday night. But first, I want to say how disappointed I am as a Hosdale Powell member that we had no support to expand the board of the Hosdale Powell board. I'm one of those people responsible for the $67 million debt. So I'm pretty disappointed right now about that. But as to the Tennessee Theater, some people here tonight who support the sexualization of children will try to say that I'm phobic in some way. That's ridiculous. One of my daughters is named for my cousin who was gay. I say was because he died of AIDS, so he's no longer with us. Those supporting the sexualization of children will try to carry on about gay or transgender. That's not why we're here. I'm here to talk about child sexual abuse of permitting children into adult drag shows. To put in perspective, if a 10-year-old came to my office as a nurse practitioner and said, "So my parents took me to see a man in a thong who was lip syncing in front of me. Sex in the air, I don't care, I like the smell of it. Whips and chains excite me." Then the man bent over with his bottom in my face in a thong and told me he just had his anus waxed, pulled his buttocks apart to show me, then asked me if I wanted to touch it while my parents cheered him on. Then a few other adults told me of their special sexual encounters. I would be required to report this as child sexual abuse. This exact thing happened to a 10-year-old at the drag show in Texas, the same group that's going to be at the Tennessee Theater on Thursday night. So I ask each of you, if I'm required to do something about it, why are all of you helpless? Why is Mayor Jacobs helpless? Why is Sheriff Spangler helpless? Why is the city mayor and the city police chief helpless? I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. We know that we have laws on the books to address this, but no one's doing anything. You all just had a significant presentation on the mental health disparities and lasting harm to children when traumas occur. There is tons of scientific literature which outlines hypersexualization of children as having lifelong negative consequences. I am one of those children because I was molested at 7 years old. I can tell you those wounds never completely go away. Entities across the nation make sanctuary cities and counties. I implore you all as County Commission to make Knox County a sanctuary city for children. You can start by declaring children under 18 should never be permitted into adult-themed shows. Penalty under the laws that are already established for decency, as others are going to lay out tonight. We are tired of the sexualization of children. We are going on the offense to any of you who disagree with us because you support crimes against children. Shame on each of you. Ask yourselves
Order.
why you support sexualization of children. And it's disgusting. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
I would like to remind those here to speak that we are to be respectful of everyone's opinion, whether we agree with it or not. Next on our list is Anaya Thompson. Following Anaya would be Angela Hill, Kevin Hill, and Caitlin Jones. And Ms. Thompson, I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
You did.
Thank you.
Anaya Thompson, Knox County.
Please pull the microphone down so we can hear you. Thank you.
My name is Anaya Thompson. Most of you know me as the former 15-year-old cashier of McAllister's Deli on Shad Road. For those of you who don't know about this incident, on Monday, November 21st, 2022, I had a 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. shift. Around 7:30, I was working register when I decided to ask one of my coworkers to take over. It just so happened the next person in line was someone with a badge. Before I walked away, I made sure these customers were taken care of by a coworker of mine, at which point they felt like they were being discriminated against. I overheard one of these officers ask my coworker if I did not take their order because they're officers. They then complained to my manager and were asked 2 more times if they would like to place an order. They replied no and walked out. Immediately after this incident, Facebook posts were made and McAllister's received tons of angry phone calls. I do not apologize for doing my job and handling a situation with decorum and professionalism in which these officers did not do. Since then, I have lost my first job and been forced to watch my name and character be dragged through the mud and destroyed via social media because of Kimberly Glenn, a communications director for the Knox County Sheriff's Office who failed to do her job accurately and has still yet to face the consequences of her actions. Kimberly Glenn actions created an unsafe work environment, not only for myself, but for my coworkers and the customers of McAllister's. I leave you with this. Number 1, if I was anything other than a brown girl, would this have happened? 2, was I targeted because of who my brother is? And number 3, where's the accountability for those who choose to spread misinformation about me when I was only doing my job? When will they be held accountable?
Thank you. Angela Hill. Please state your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Angela Hill, Knox County. I don't know how to follow that. That was incredible. I'm here to support you. And I just, as a mother of teens, as a student at the University of Tennessee College of Social Work and Clinical Social Work, and an intern in a mental health program for teens and adults to help them regulate their emotions, I'm not here to represent any of those organizations. I'm here as a mom. I'm here as someone who cares about the community. I'm here as someone who is educated in trauma. And it's clear that this young woman was not actually facing a trauma response. And even if she was, that would have made absolute sense medically, scientifically. We have evidence for these kinds of trauma responses considering what she's been through. So the adults in our community have to do better to consider the consequences of their actions, especially when vulnerable youth will be negatively affected. Before escalating conflict, making assumptions, taking things personally, and sharing those assumptions on social media, we need to simply ask questions. In this case, the consequences have been cyberbullying for this young woman, and she's already been through so much, she does not need that. So I love that her mother has been quoted as saying that she's proud of her daughter for asking for help, and I think that this is something that we all need to do. Teens, parents, adults in general, and members of law enforcement who do have extremely stressful jobs. So instead of taking things personally and acting out of automatic stress responses, my hope is that as adults we can model more mindful responses and skillful communication for our young people to learn how to resolve conflicts. One of the best resources for this is the book My Grandmother's Hands by Resma Menachem, which outlines a path for stress and trauma resolution in a general way, but also specifically in regards to racialized trauma with chapters devoted to unique experiences of Black people, white people, and law enforcement. We're all under a lot of stress, and I would say that teens, parents, and police officers are some of the most stressed people in our country right now. But if you hold on to all that stress and you do not resolve it in appropriate and healthy ways, you might find yourself reacting and blowing that stress through somebody who is really not there to hold it for you. So perceiving a threat or a slight where there isn't one, that is a stress response. We have to grow up and take responsibility for that, especially if we're going to have public office and have an office where we are supposed to protect and serve. Looking over the training guidelines for the Knox County Sheriff's Office, I'm seeing a lot of claims that are not being followed through on. I'd like to see funding and directives that actually follow through on training to help these officers become actually more professional in their conduct with the community to help all citizens feel safe and comfortable, including 15-year-old girls.
Kevin Hill. Kevin Hill. Following Mr. Hill will be Caitlin Jones, Allison Bell, and Tracy Smith. Please state your name and county of residence for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Kevin Hill. I live in Knox County. We've heard a lot about what can't be done, and I get it. There's some statutory boundaries, but that doesn't remove the bully pulpit from you. You have the ability to go in front of any one of these cameras and say, we don't want the sexualization of children. No one is challenging the legitimacy and the First Amendment right of adults gathering with adults and doing whatever they darn well please in a private venue. But when you bring children in, that First Amendment protection goes away. We have a host of case law that says what you're protected to say to an adult is not what you're protected to say to a child. Now, you all have the bully pulpit, and we have a new law that dropped. It's a shock that we as citizens have to do the research on the law for our law enforcement, but that's where we're at. The DA is running scared, saying she can't do anything about it. She can if it's a state statute. 39-17-902 went into law this year, and it says it is unlawful to direct, present, or produce any obscene theatrical production, peep show, or live performance, and every person who participates in that part of the production which renders the production or performance obscene is guilty of the offense. That means you, ma'am, will be guilty because it's your facility. So will the producer. So will the people performing in it. Guess what the penalty is for that? It's a $10,000 fine minimum up to $50,000. Are you ready to shell out the 50 grand? Now, let's go to, well, what if it's not the community standards of what's obscene? Well, thankfully, the city already decided that for us with an ordinance that they passed a while back. Let me read for you briefly what the obscenity declaration by the city. So they've already said what they think of it, and I've lost it, so I apologize. They describe the behavior. It's on the books for the city. They describe exposing buttocks. They describe simulated breasts being exposed. Well, one of the performers runs around with boxes with exposed fake breasts. That violates the obscenity law in the city of Knoxville. So the DA has cover, and she has prosecutorial immunity. She's not good. I mean, we just had case law about this before the Supreme Court. She is safe. She has an ordinance from the city that says this is obscene. She has a state law that says you don't need that ordinance, but they've already given you cover. You all can all en masse call the DA and say, get over there and do your job. You can go in front of the cameras and ask why the DA is not doing her job. Now, in closing, I just want to remind you, there's also charities that get money from you that give to her facility. Why don't you pull their funds and give it to a proper charity like the one that was here protecting children? Amen. By the way, I brought this to remind you what a spine looks like. Grow one.
Caitlin Jones. State your name and county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Caitlin Jones, and I'm from Knox County. I just wanted to come here and speak today because I saw the social media post on Facebook originally from the person who posted it. It didn't name anybody. I wasn't even aware of who it was until after other people on social media started commenting. I don't condone cyberbullying. I don't think that's correct and should happen under any circumstances with anybody. I did just want to point out that that is something that she did not post. We have a serious violent crime problem here in Knoxville right now, and I just want, if you decide to move forward with an advisory board, to keep that in mind. I'm not against, making sure that officers are being held accountable if that is something that needs to happen. I just want to make sure that we're not prohibiting officers from doing their jobs when it's necessary, and because of the crime problem we currently have, I just think that's something that should be considered if that's something that's developed. I also wanted to speak on what is happening at the Tennessee Theater. I am all for adults doing what adults want to do as long as it's legal. This is legal for adults. I understand that you're saying your hands are tied. I just want to, kind of go off what the last person said and at least speak your voice. You do have that option. What you guys say and post on social media is very influential amongst a lot of people. We did hear from a charity earlier tonight, and I just want to make sure that kids aren't being exposed to things that shouldn't be exposed to. I did see the videos of the show that's happening here on social media from previous events, and if that's something that's happening, we don't allow kids in strip clubs, so why would we allow kids to see what's happening at these shows? And so even if it's not something that you guys can do, I at least urge you to use your voices and urge you to be able to speak up for what you believe while other people do the same. Both sides have their opinions and believe what they want to believe. And so I think it's very crucial that the community hears from all of the community members about all issues. Thank you.
Allison Bell. Following Allison Bell will be Tracy Smith, Randy Cross. Allison Bell. Tracy Smith. Please state your name and county of residence for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Tracy Smith, Knox County. Good evening, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I am the chair of Knox for Liberty. We are a group of Knox County citizens, and we are standing up and taking action for our faith, families, and freedoms. I'm here tonight because we are very concerned about the all-ages drag shows happening in our city, with the most egregious one of these scheduled for Thursday evening at the Tennessee Theater. Earlier today, I emailed each and every one of you a link to the video from this particular production company from one of their recent shows in Texas. Now, I know you've all had a long day. Have any of you had an opportunity to see my email and watch that video? Nobody. Have any of you seen any of the videos related to this show?
They can't respond due to rules of order.
Okay, well, you reserve your right to respond or not. As this is a national tour, the show is the same from one city to another. So what you saw, if you had a chance to view the video prior to this meeting, is a preview of what will happen on Thursday night if the show continues. We respectfully request that this commission take this matter very seriously, give it the attention it deserves, and pass a resolution to deem these shows as obscene and restrict the attendance of anyone who is under the age of 18. In addition, we request that any taxpayer funds be withheld from any venue hosting this type of event for any age. Our request is simple. Do everything you can to protect the well-being, both physical and mental, of our children. What is happening in these shows is child abuse. And for an abused child, what hurts the most is not only the abuse itself, but knowing that there are other adults who are aware of what is happening and do nothing. Thank you for your time.
Randy Cross. After Mr. Cross is Nzinga Amani, Lauren Seagrave, John Tessick.
Hello, Randy Cross, Knoxville, Knox County. I've lived here 53 years. Unlike most of your audience, I am a Knoxville citizen. I vote here, I pay taxes here, and I have more of a right than them to say what happens in Knoxville. I was raised to believe that all gay people were pedophiles, and you were only gay if you were raped by another man, because gay people can't reproduce. They have to rape and change people's minds. 53 years old, and I'm still hearing that garbage and lies. I'm sick of hearing it. Ugh, I'm so mad. I'm a drag performer. The name is Keith Lorraine. Look me up so you can attack me like you have all of my friends.
Sir, you're addressing commission.
There are people in this audience who have taken our personal information, put it online, put us in danger, accused us of horrible, terrible things. There's a man in this audience who said that all gay people should be lined up facing the wall so he can shoot us in the head. Are these people you want to listen to? We are not sexualizing children. You will see nothing at a drag show that you won't see on Dancing with the Stars, a child's pageant, or on any cheerleader at a football game.
Again, we will be respectful of everyone's opinion, whether we agree with it or not.
You can find me on Facebook, watch any of my videos. There is nothing sexual in any of them. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I know when I die, I will go to live with him forever. And I'm sick of being accused of being a pedophile my whole life. It needs to stop, and we need to grow up, and we need to accept people who are different than us. Thank you.
Next is Nzinga Amani, followed by Lauren Seagrave, John Tessick, and David Lee. Please state your name and county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
Nzinga Amani, Knox County. Couple comments. First, the people speaking out about the upcoming family-friendly drag show may seem like the concerns are well-intentioned, that all they care about is the well-being of children, as if seeing a bunch of fabulous drag queens perform at a family-friendly event is more damaging than the traumatizing conversion therapy the closed-minded often subject their children to pray the gay way. While they proclaim to care about the youth, they are not about protecting children. It's about one thing: hate. This Thursday, during a family-friendly event, followers of Ken Peters and the Patriot Church will stand side by side with known hate groups, thugs, fascists, and white supremacists. They will be with them. Do not be fooled, and do not give in to hate. Right. Now, regarding the heinous and erroneous accusations issued by Knox County Sheriff's Department that led a teenage Knox County resident to losing their employment from McAllister's on Shad Road, the harassment of a young black teenager by Knox County sheriffs is despicable. The targeting of a 15-year-old girl who had her brother unjustly taken away by local law enforcement is shameful. Causing the firing of a working-class young person for competently performing their job is economic violence. Knox County should be embarrassed. Embarrassed by the behaviors of the employees and the sheriff's department for causing more harm to a family already harmed by local government and the DA's office. Until you acknowledge and seek to rectify these heinous actions, this will forever be a stain on Knox County government and the already notorious Sheriff's Department. An empowered community oversight board that oversees the sheriffs is a good start. Lastly, some folks came up here talking about some amazing work they were doing in the community, using some federal funds to invest in a facility that actually helps the mental health of our young people. Federal funds. I challenge you all to make a lasting commitment and put local taxpayers' dollars into these institutions so they can be sustainable and actually last and actually make an impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Seagrave. Please state your name and county of residence. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Loren Seagrave. I'm a Knox County resident. I want to first start off with putting out the fact that KPD is law enforcement and not policy enforcement. What they did earlier this week or last week was policy enforcement. They went in and they enforced the policy that a 15-year-old should not be working in McAllister's. That would have never happened if they were not involved, especially through social media. And I want to talk about culture inside of the KPD. And the KPD has to learn how to control this culture, because if officers either bolster or
We are standing with you. You okay?
I want to read some statistics. In 1991, sociologist Lenore Johnson presented data that 3,600,000 out of 900,000 law enforcement officers in the United States were likely to be perpetrating acts of abuse. This is 1990, not 1940 or 50. Culture is a sponge that soaks up what was acceptable from the past, and it doesn't get wrung out until the present. Accountability is the only way for the public to keep both officers and their departments truly accountable. With body cams, public recordings, and the shift in what is and is not acceptable are the only reasons why we are seeing change now. Not every cop is a domestic abuser, but when that is a culture that has made its way into police departments for decades, then it adds to a structure that continues the cycle, becoming something else. How these institutions are set up to save cops who shouldn't be working with the public and have attitudes and ideologies that are hateful and bigoted ensures that this cycle continues to happen and create more and more bad apples. That something that these cycles create could be not believing a group of officers who call out the injustices of their peers, not allowing black officers to be promoted in this structure, not allowing third-party options to observe officer behavior like Ms. Lundy has. I'm sorry. This topic is too close to my heart. I've lived in this community for a while, and I have seen too much. I just want to, there's a lot of problems in KPD, but I want you to focus on the culture that creates those problems. The first thing that could be done to do this is to hire more black officers. There were 10 black officers in the KPD 30 years ago. There are now 19, with one in commanding office. So, I'll wrap this up, but a former KPD officer said, if you're in the inn, then they see no problem with you. But if you're one of the outside guys, then you get crapped on. And the only way to have this not happen is to start with a minority-only recruiting class for the KPD to help bring in people of color into your institution. Thank you.
Thank you. John Tessick, David Lee, Amanda Meadows. Sir, please state your name and county of residence for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Commissioners, my name is John Tasick, Knoxville County resident. Also the chairman of the Committee of Correspondence for the Patriot Network of East Tennessee. The Christmas drag show that is being held in the publicly funded Tennessee Theater violates a number of elements of the Tennessee Code. Tennessee Theater is less than 1,000 feet, actually less than 500 feet from Charles Crutch Park and the Knoxville First Presbyterian Church. The drag show is cabaret entertainment and will have nudity as defined by the Tennessee Code as bare buttocks, along with simulated sex, such as humping, bumping, grinding, thrusting, booty shaking, squatting, rubbing, spanking, and grabbing at private parts. Children will be present and exposed to the above prurient activities. They will also be enticed to become involved and participate via sexualized stories, direct tipping, and suggestive questioning and comments by the performers. Knoxville area politicians and law enforcement have been strangely and suspiciously quiet even after being advised of the situation. Only the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation appears to have shown some limited interest in the enforcement of these Tennessee state laws, but that will be after the fact. I ask that action be taken now before the damage is done. In closing, I have one question for the Commission. Based on the responses taken to date, I must assume that it is acceptable for drag queens to involve children in these prurient sexual activities, but not for everyone else. Why not? Seems to be unequal application of the law. Thank you.
David Lee.
Good evening. My name is David Lee, and I'm a resident of Knox County. I'm the president of Town Hall East, and the two commissioners that serve our district are Commissioner Lundy and Commissioner Beeler. And I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of the Board of Directors of Town Hall East and myself in supporting Commissioner Lundy's call for an advisory board for the Knox County Sheriff's Department. Of course, the idea is not a novel one, and Knoxville City has had an advisory board for many years. It's certainly not a panacea. It's always a work in progress, but I think it's very important to open up channels of mutual communication between the law enforcement agency and the community that could perhaps relieve some of the tensions that we've heard expressed this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Meadows. Carrie Dugan. Tavis Sisson. Please state your name and county of residence.
Amanda Meadows with Knox County. I'm here to speak against this family-friendly drag show. I'm utterly opposed to the impending family-friendly drag show that is scheduled for December 22nd, this Thursday in Knox County. This show has leaked footages of pornographic and lewd behaviors with children present, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time. It's uncomfortable for me just to even read what I have to say here. These pornographic and lewd behaviors with children show a grown man dressed as a woman with fake boobs in a box and dancing and shaking them around, and men dancing in thongs uncovered, again, right in front of children. There's also dances simulating sodomy, engaging with the children and asking if they are confused yet. Does this sound like family friendly, or does it sound like child abuse? I'm teetering on child abuse. Actually, I'm like, right, there's no way you can deny it being child abuse. This is disgusting. Would you want your child or grandchildren or any child at that to be exposed to this? I can't. I ask you, I plead with you. If children aren't allowed to watch or participate in pornography, then how can children be allowed to watch or participate in this type of a live show? Also, if a man or a woman is caught with child porn, they're charged. So how is this any different? I'm a mother, and I am grossly disturbed by the allowance that pure, innocent children in any fashion would be allowed to see what's happening, let alone to be invited to something that's advertised as family friendly. And all of you should be disgusted as well and should do something about it. I beg you, and I plead with the mayor to do what's right and to shut this down tonight. Do what's right. You know she has the power to do so.
Thank you, Carrie Dugan.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Dugan, and I'm a resident of Knox County. I've been a resident here for 20 years. I'm originally from California, and my stepfather was California Highway Patrol law enforcement for 22 years. He paid the ultimate sacrifice, and he was killed in the line of duty in March 15th of 2001. Defending the law is what my family does. And because I live in Knox County, I've been made aware of 2 laws, not just the city ordinance, but the state law that is already on the books that protects children and places of worship, local residences, and public parks from cabarets and shows that this one is planned for the 22nd. I also represent the majority of your constituents in Knox County that are believers in the Lord Jesus Christ. Majority of your constituents honor the Christmas holiday and recognize Christmas as the birth of their Lord and Savior. Regardless of denomination, there are many believers in this room and in your county that honor that holiday. The fact that this show is going to be portrayed 3 days before we are honoring and celebrating the birth of our Lord and Savior is inappropriate. Not to mention the fact that the law should speak for itself. We do understand that we have spoken to, some of our friends here have spoken to the Sheriff's Department, we've spoken to the Knoxville Police, given the opportunity to enforce the law, and the law enforcement has stated back it's an antiquated law and that they choose not to enforce it. Well, the last I checked, the law is the law, and nobody has the right or the opinion to decide what laws get enforced and what laws don't. So we want to stand on that because you have not one, but you have 3 violations of your city ordinance. It's within 1,000 feet of a place of worship. It's within residents that live in lofts and the city park. That should be enough, but you also have a state statute, which has already been stated here, so I won't waste your time with that. But we are pleading with the mayor, because she does have the authority to cancel this and suspend it, and we're respectfully asking that she do that to honor the requests of the majority of her constituents in Knoxville, in Knox County. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you.
Tavis Sisson, and I apologize if I said your name incorrectly, and then we will end with Valerie DeBow.
Hi, I'm Tavis Sisson from Rowan County. Contrary to what somebody else already mentioned, I think I'm actually the first one to speak from out of Knox County. I'm sorry. I want to speak against what's going on at the Tennessee Theater. I think that there are multiple avenues that this could be addressed. I think many of them have already been stated. There's been stated a city statute, multiple state statutes. So I'm not going to go into that with much detail, but I wanted to point out that I know a lot of is being made at that it being a drag show and wanting to be acceptance of that type of sexual orientation or whatever that happens to be. But the Tennessee Code actually defines an adult cabaret as someone that features topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, male or female impersonators, or similar entertainers. Now, at these shows, they are topless. They are dancing sexually. They are go-go dancers. They're dancing exotically. They are exotic dancers. They take off their clothes and accept tips directly from the audience. They are strippers. They are female impersonators. And it's kind of similar entertainment. It checks every single box of what the state of Tennessee defines as an adult cabaret. There's absolutely zero reason why these statutes cannot be used to shut this down. Additionally, what nobody else has mentioned this evening is the county of Knox County has a adult and business employee licenses requirement for any adult business. This is an adult show. It is defined as adult cabaret. It is an adult business. Every single employed performer at this show should have submitted and been approved their adult business license, their adult employee license. If they're not an employee and they are an independent contractor, every single one of them needs to qualify, submit an application, and be approved as an adult business in Knox County. And if they have not done so, they cannot perform because it is an adult show. Clearly, it is an adult show. There's no way around that. And lastly, one of our first speakers talked about the mandatory reporting. In many states, certain professions, doctors, psychiatrists, teachers, all of which have a mandatory reporting requirement. I understand that. I'm a dentist. I'm also I have a family history as being a teacher, so on and so forth. So I understand mandatory reporting. In the state of Tennessee, that mandatory reporting on that last line of all these things, neighbors, everything that goes down, it says other persons. Every single person in the state of Tennessee is required under penalty of a Class A misdemeanor to report child abuse. So if you allow this, every single person in that theater who witnessed children being exposed to this grinding, these simulated sex acts, the description of sexual encounters, so on and so forth, that is child abuse. It is child sexual abuse. Every single one of those people is a mandatory reporter. Thank you. My time's up.
Valerie DeBow, and I apologize, I missed one on my list. We will end with Glenn Stafford.
Hi, I'm Valerie DeBow. I'm a Knox County resident. I'm going to have a few words with you guys, but that's going to be off the cuff. I wasn't prepared to speak, but I just felt compelled to be a voice for somebody on the other side. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and I was exposed to situations at a young age that I wish that I never was exposed to. And I'm afraid that this drag queen show that's being advertised as family friendly is very deceiving. If you go on their Instagram website, you'll be able to see that they have things on there that's appetizing to children, such as a Pooh Bear, somebody in a Pooh Bear costume. And the Pooh Bear costume's wearing a bikini top, and he pops his breasts out and exposes his bare breasts of this Pooh Bear and bounces them around. I can tell you that that is something that, as a young child, you're not going to want to be able to recover from seeing stuff like that, because it does leave you a lifetime full of other harmful situations that will lead you a lifetime. Excuse me, I'm a little bit nervous. But it's very frustrating, because if you haven't ever healed from that and you think that it's normal, it does set you on a path for more things. And my mother was not aware of what happened, as a lot of childhood sexual abuse victims, parents don't know, and you guys all have all these voices of knowing that this is wrong. And that's the last thing that I want, is any more children to have to go through is sexual abuse and domestic violence, because if you look through violence of women, it does stem from being exposed to childhood sexual abuse. Another thing that I saw on their website was some other childhood character. I don't even know what it was, but the character stood in front of everybody and unzipped its crotch. And as it unzipped its crotch, there were things that were falling out of it, and they were all just dancing around like it was no big deal. And I think as adults, we all should realize that things like this, that normalize sexuality at a young age when children are not able to internalize what is being put in front of them, it's wrong. You guys all have the ability to know that it's wrong, and it's wrong for children. And you're just going to be setting up a generation of normalizing this type of behaviors, and it's just going to ruin our society. And it's not about hate, it's about, we know in our hearts what's right and what's wrong, and we're just standing against it. If these people who think that it's normal, I feel bad for them, because maybe they didn't have the adults in their lives to realize that this was wrong for them. And I just pray for all of them that they find the happiness like I've found through Jesus. And no matter what your religion is, you can't deny that sexuality for a child is wrong. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Glenn Stafford. Please state your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
And they saved the best for last. My name is Glenn Stafford, an actual taxpayer for Knox County, Tennessee. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you about an issue that is weighing heavy on my heart and mind. We are hearing about an increasing number of adult cabaret-style events that are being held not only nationally, but here locally as well. Lately, there have been drag shows in Nevada, Texas, Utah, Missouri, North Carolina, Minneapolis, New York, Maine, California, Pennsylvania, Washington, Vermont, and now Tennessee. These events are allowing all ages to attend. Why are they allowing all ages to attend? Why are these events not 18 and above? It's not like these toddlers and preteens have an income with which to tip these performers with. Then, if they have no money, what do these children have that these drag queens want? We have asked that question and several others to several different people and have received reason after reason why there's nothing they can do. It isn't my job. It's out of my jurisdiction. My hands are tied. I'm tired of hearing about there's nothing we can do. How about instead we talk about what the county commission can do? You could issue a resolution tonight calling on Visit Knoxville and the Arts Cultural Alliance to limit attendance to 18 and above. And if they do not limit attendance to 18 and above, you will withhold future funding from the Tennessee Theater, which, by the way, received more than $3.5 million in Knox County taxpayer dollars in the 2022 fiscal year. Could you Could you tell these two non-government organizations that refusal to make such a resolution could result in a loss of 100% of their funding from the county budget in future years? Could you, each of you, make public statements indicating your disgust with these events? You could call out the board members and the sponsors of the Tennessee Theater to do something. You could each show up on Thursday night and stand vigil outside the event. There are lots of things you can do. Please quit telling us what you can't do. There are lots of things you can do. Additionally, I'd really like to hear the reason behind why no one seconded Commissioner Lee's proposal on the Housedale-Powell Board expansion. As a tax-paying Housedale-Powell subscriber, I'm in favor of expanding that board, and I would really like to know why. May you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and God bless you all.
This concludes our public forum for open topics. We will move on to, actually, we don't have any ordinances on first reading or second reading. Other business?
Discussion item regarding the junior commission program.
Commissioners, I wanted to bring this just because I've gotten a few applicants. There is a chart that you should have received. Some of my applications were confusing. One person requested my district, however, lives in District 3 but goes to a school in District 6. So I just wanted to have you all weigh in on how we can get your opinions on how to address this, and I will start with Commissioner Jay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a quick discussion about district versus where you go to school, and it was my opinion that we ought to essentially say if it is your direct constituent and it is in your district, then that person resides in your district, then that would take precedence no matter where they went to school. Of course, I have one applicant who lives in an entirely different county but goes to school in Knox County. So just sort of to keep it simple, it was my opinion of who is your direct constituent in your particular district as where they reside. And then because they may go to L&N STEM Academy, they may go to the trade school. I mean, there's a number of different places they could go, even privately. So that was sort of my opinion. And then, of course, with the at-large seats, we have people from all over the place. So the deadline is this Friday, so please promote it.
Right, and I wanted to ask you too about that. In case there is perhaps a district that does not actually receive an applicant, if they attend a school in that district, could they then go, or if
I think so. I mean, honestly, obviously this is year one, and we're trying to do our best to engage, the next generation of leaders. So I think we'll do our best to have everybody have an applicant. But if it's not, then we can certainly do our best to make sure that everybody has a representative with them.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any more discussion regarding this? I also wanted to just bring your attention to, I will be posting on public forum tomorrow on the commission forum, our legislative priorities for our January 19th legislative breakfast with our state delegation. So if you have any of those, feel free to post. And like I said, I will put that on there tomorrow. Commissioner Lee.
Yes. For the folks that are still here, I did want to make to tell you that I appreciate you all coming out here and speaking out against this Tennessee Theater drag show. I think it's perverse, and I'm against this happening in our county, in our city. I would support any efforts to defund anything that this body gives any taxpayer dollars to the perversion of our children. I think it is abuse. And I totally agree with everyone who spoke out against this tonight. I will tell you, I've spoken with several people from the law department. I've spoken with the sheriff. I've spoken with the mayor's office. I don't think that the commission has any authority. We can't enforce the laws, But I do want to tell you, I'm hearing you, and I support what you're saying, and I wish that I hope, if I have anything to do with it, we will not fund any taxpayer dollars from Knox County for any of these type shows. I think it's child abuse. And I appreciate you all coming out here during the Christmas season to come and speak to this body. Because I will tell you, obviously, this body doesn't want to hear what everybody's got to say. They didn't care about the 37,000 people that pay rates in Hallsdale Powell. But thank you all for coming out. I'm hearing you. I have one more comment about the law enforcement. I will say these officers have not been tried in a court of law. You know, we don't know the whole story. There's two sides to the story. What's on Facebook and social media are not facts. I'm sympathetic to the teenager who came in here, but I'm also sympathetic to our law enforcement that put their life on the lines every day to protect our community. All across this country, the numbers are down of people that want to sign up to be a law enforcement. In our county, it's going on. And if we come in here and we treat our law enforcement like this, shame on us. I mean, everybody is entitled to a day in court. We don't know the facts. So I do not think that this commission is the place to try this case. But I want to say everybody is entitled to due process. But thank you all for coming out, and I appreciate you, and we are hearing you. Thank you.
Commissioner Lundy.
I also want to thank everyone that came out to support Anaya Thompson. What a brave young lady. 15 years old, who was recently fired, faced everybody and faced her enemies. That's tough. Today was really heavy, and I have been praying the whole time that I won't be triggered. I think I'm officially triggered. What people don't understand about law enforcement, 2 years ago, when that boy, Anthony Thompson, got killed, the community came out and advocated. Guess what? They got arrested. That's why we have issues with law enforcement and the Black community. I'm so tired of trying to, oh gosh, God help me. It's like we always get ignored. This ain't no Back the Blue movement. This is not Black Lives Matter. This is about all lives matter, but for some reason, we are so freaking immature that we don't know what humanity is. It's ridiculous. We've seen that stuff on Facebook from Kimberly Glenn's Facebook page. There's no reason. If she would have said, F the police, and not serve the police, guess what? I will be standing there with her again because she had to watch on the news that her brother was shot by law enforcement. This is not a Knox County thing. This is a nation's thing. Until we figure out how to disrupt this, we will always be in a place of us versus them. My intention was never to start a war because war leaves casualties. And it leaves us nowhere. It leads us to the path to hell. I was reminded this weekend in my devotional time, God is love. Love is justice. Justice is love. God is justice. This is a justice moment. 15 years old lost her job at a sandwich shop because people wanted to bully who were not in uniform. They were not in uniform. Guess why? Because they was on a special task force for shoplifting. Someone flashed the badge at her. I'm tired. I'm so tired. And to go back to the Anthony Thompson and how, let's not forget that the sheriff's office lined this room up, and I know y'all remember that. I spoke about it. All those officers, all those out there, and a SWAT team for 12 black people. 12. I'm always reminded when all those people up there voicing their opinion about the mask, yelling and stuff, guess where they are? Happy. They got what they wanted. They never got arrested for disrupting a meeting. But guess what? My friends got arrested, and guess what? They're still in court. That's the injustice. They still in court 2 years later. That's a lot of money. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to have to pray about it. But I hope that we can shift our hearts a little bit. I understand that from this letter, I opened a Pandora's box. It was crazy. Guess who was calling me? Officers from the sheriff's department saying thank you. They're out here struggling, but they're so scared of their own people. Something's going on. And if I have to freaking disrupt the system, I'm here for it, baby. I was born for this. If I had to subpoena the records, I would do it. There's no fear in me. I'm tired. And to hear Anaya speak and that other young male that so happened to be black, he couldn't even get it out. We are living in trauma, including me. Because when those people lined up this room, everybody felt protected but me. It feels like 1960 in Knox County. I'm ready to move forward. I am complete. Thank you.
Commissioner Oster.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy, for speaking out. And I wish we would have had more people here because I've asked Law Director Moyers to actually be able to put out on record everybody that was here that's watching what commission is able to do. And I'm speaking for myself for District 3. This is not a show that I agree with. This is not a show I would have taken my children to. I wouldn't take my granddaughter to it. But as a county commissioner, I have to work within the boundaries of what I'm given. And that's why I have asked him to speak on that. I have spent 3 days, I was on the phone with the mayor, I've been on the phone with the law department, I've been on the phone with the DA to get the information because I was going to have the correct information before, I jumped onto something. I can tell you, anybody that knows me, that I am conservative. This is not something I agree with, but I took an oath that I've got to follow the law, and when we're being told what our rules are and what our boundaries are, that's what I've got to do. I believe after February, when our legislature comes back into session, we're going to have something on the books that is going to have teeth to it, and we're going to have a different situation. Mayor Jacobs did not ask me to do this, but I'm going to do it. Everybody has said that he's been quiet. He's not been quiet. And I don't think it's fair for him to be called out that way. He was on the phone with the executive director with the Tennessee Theater 3 months ago when we found this out. This vendor is under contract with the Tennessee Theater. The Tennessee Theater is not putting this show on. The vendor was asked by the executive director per Mayor Jacobs to please put an age limit on there, and the vendor refused. Mayor Jacobs then asked to at least put parental guidance is suggested on there. He came back a few days later and he agreed. That's what Mayor Jacobs had the ability to do, and he did it. So for people to say that he's being quiet, it's not fair to him. And I'm speaking only for myself. I don't speak for any other commissioners up here. I'm not being quiet. If anybody has called me, if anybody has emailed me, my constituents, and even outside of my constituents, get a phone call back, they get an email back, and they get a response. But I needed to get the information because I believe that's what a good representative does. So the reason that I'm having Mr. Moyers give us this information is not to kick the can down the road or not do our job. I don't want anybody to think that, and I will speak for everybody on this commission, that we don't do that. That's not our job. But we have to do with what we have. And so our legislature is the one that is going to be in control of this. Our DA is not law enforcement. She cannot go in and raid someplace. She is, by the state statute, the state attorney general has given an opinion on this. So I'm not going to get into the legalese. That's for Mr. Moyers. But I wanted to be able to say what I needed to say. Want everybody to hear that, and I appreciate you coming down. I've been on your side. I've been the advocate. It gets frustrating sometimes. It feels like we spin our wheels, and I know that. So I don't ever take for granted anybody coming down here and speaking your mind. You have every right to do that, and I appreciate it. I do wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a blessed New Year, and hopefully we can all work together for the betterment of our community come next year.
Director Moyers.
Well, I have been involved in adult business regulation since probably the late 1980s, and I can tell you that it is one of the most difficult and frustrating things that you can do from a governmental point of view. All of these activities are imbued with First Amendment aspects that make regulation and particularly prior restraint one of the most difficult things you can do. In 2004, the city of Knoxville attempted to shut down an adult bookstore that was on Paper Mill Road. They lost, and they had to pay a very large amount of attorney's fees in that case. On the heels of that, we had another situation arise with the adult superstore on Lovell Road, and a group of homeowners and property owners asked us to do something about it. Having been burned by these kinds of cases many times in the past, I hired a nationally recognized expert who specializes exclusively in drafting ordinances of the nature to regulate adult businesses. And he drafted the ordinance, and as I knew would happen, we were sued. 4 years later, 4 years of federal litigation that went all the way to the Sixth Circuit. We won that case. And that was just to require adult businesses to not be run by felons and to close after midnight and not open on Sunday. It took us 4 years of litigation to get that done. You ask what we can do about something that happens in 3 days? The answer from the county's point of view is very little. Unfortunately, I have watched the tapes of this show, and there is no way that I could conceive of that somebody could consider this family-friendly entertainment. But the ability of this county to regulate a one-off show inside the city of Knoxville is nearly nil. First of all, we have never applied county ordinances inside the city of Knoxville, and there's a real jurisdictional question in there of whether we could. Our ordinances generally apply outside of the city of Knoxville. Our adult business ordinance has never been applied to businesses inside the city of Knoxville. It only applies to those businesses outside. For those businesses that are inside, you must look to the city government and whatever rules and laws they have on the books. If this performance violates any state laws, then the Attorney General could certainly look at it and prosecute any violations. But that can't happen until after the fact. The problem with a live performance is while we have seen on the internet what has happened at other venues and other places, until it actually happens here, we don't know what's going to happen. We might have a pretty good idea, but we don't know. And that's the problem with prior restraint. We can't shut down something that hasn't happened yet. So the law puts a great number of constraints on us. I have always been sympathetic with the desire to keep these kind of things out of the community, but the law ties our hands in significant and serious ways. Adult business regulation, if it's entered into, has to be done carefully, it has to be done thoughtfully, or you will simply get taken to court and you'll lose, and you will pay attorneys, plaintiffs' attorneys for these kinds of businesses, hundreds of thousands of your dollars. And that's why we don't do these things off the cuff. So I sympathize with everything everybody said. I've been there. I've been where you've been. But we are where we are in this society until hearts and minds change. There isn't a lot we can do between now and Thursday. Now, I know there is a bill before the legislature that directly addresses this sort of show, and if it passes, then there'll be something that the district attorney can enforce that gives us some teeth. But I cannot think of anything reasonable we could do that would satisfy what the folks who have been here tonight would want us to do between now and Thursday. I wish there was, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make promises that I can't keep, and I'm not going to take actions that would cost this county large sums of money that have no reasonable prospects of success. So that's where we are. I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's the truth of it. So.
Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This has been a hard meeting. I feel kind of silly even saying that. Because I chose to seek this job. And I chose to represent you. And I've been out there in those red seats for a long time. And I've stood at that podium and I've expressed my thoughts and my feelings and my position on various issues. And so I want to thank you for being here tonight and for sharing your views and your perspectives. I think it's a sad state that we're in our society and in culture, that it's very hard to discern right from wrong. And some may say I'm a silly girl, but when I'm faced with those situations, I tend to rely on my faith. And so I don't have the answers. I will never stop pursuing, trying to do what is right. I have all kinds of wonderful people in my life, and some I agree with and some that I don't. But I love them the same. And that's because the God that I choose, I can only speak for me, that I choose to worship and to serve commands me to. Now, what does that mean in this situation? It means I do not personally feel like this type of entertainment is pleasing to my God according to the translation that I have of his teachings. nor do I feel that it is appropriate for minors. So I won't be buying a ticket. I have and I will continue to use my beliefs as a guide for decision making, both personally and professionally, and that's what I vowed to do. I do want to make a statement to my constituents in District 7 regarding Hallsdale Powell, and also to Commissioner Lee. She is a fierce advocate, and I stand beside her on finding and seeking an answer for you all. My support was not there tonight because I respectfully asked for a little more time, because I have asked for individual meetings with every board member of Hallsdale Powell. I have asked to attend every board meeting at every other utility company that serves all of Knox County. And I have asked for a third party to come in and assess Hallsdale Powell. And so my support was not there because I don't believe that you all deserve answers. It's because I just respectfully needed more time. And I'm sorry for that. And I'm sorry to Commissioner Lee. And I just feel like that's how elected officials should treat each other, is with respect and understanding. And I hope that we can all find a place where we respect and treat each other with kindness again. I do believe that we can get there, but it's going to take a lot of work. So thank y'all for letting me just have those few minutes. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there any more business to come before Knox County Commission this evening? Seeing none, is there a second? We are adjourned.